This hour is brought to you by Jeremy Temple Law Office of Bloomington. Personal injury, criminal, business, whatever you need, Jeremy Temple Law Office will get you taken care of.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Welcome aboard the Indiana Sports Beat. Come on along. Hope you're having a great day. Jim Coyle with you. Todd Leary on as well. Hope everything's going well here in the midst of the holiday season. Welcome Indiana Sports Beat. Coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios here on this Tuesday, December 31st. Happy New Year's Eve to Jake and to Todd and everybody out in the world. Hope everything's going well and you got big plans. Todd, Father, what are the big New Year's Eve plans for you?
None. I am a Scrooge when it comes to New Year's Eve. And I have done nothing since you and I talked last but watch the IU basketball replay over and over again. So I'm in a bad mood. So
yeah, I hear you. I understand because I too have rewatched that game and
it's miserable. I am in a bad mood.
Well, first thing I want to get to is really the Al Durham thing. It was really, I mean, we all know it's out of character, but I don't know. How do you think you can stand in the middle of the floor, in the middle of the arena, and cock a guy? I mean, he really jaw-jacked him with an elbow above the shoulder. And it's like, you can get away with that maybe if you're down in the paint and you've got three sets of guys in there. But even with the replay, you're not going to get away with it. He was right in the middle of the floor and he said, yeah, I don't think so. And
yeah, I mean, I've watched it. I can't even guess how many times. And I tried to make up. It's so out of Al's character that I keep trying to come up with what could have been going through his head at the time. And I keep trying to think, okay, maybe he was just.
I got it. He's right up on him. I guarantee he was in his ear. I promise you, he's in his ear.
If you throw that elbow and you hit a guy like in the chest, you probably get a technical, but you don't get thrown out.
Right.
And so I kept trying to think, okay, maybe he was just trying to back him off and get him off of him, and it was kind of worth, it's like elbowing somebody or forearm chucking somebody when they come across the lane and stuff like that.
Yeah, you slip one in the ribs.
You see if you can get away with it, yeah, stuff like that. But I mean, like he threw the elbow so high, like there's no way he thought, unless he thought Shaq was setting the screen, there's no way he thought he was hitting him in the chest. So I for the life of me cannot figure out what, it's one of those scenarios that it's an out of body moment for an experience because it's not Al. It's just not him.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not going to sit here and talk about that all day because it's not one of the many things. I just, after rewatching the game, because I didn't see it when it happened.
I didn't either.
And so until I really got to see it. And then watching that second half, man, Devontae Green has a nice little start. But watching the first half, more importantly, I go back, I remember our discussion, and Trey Jackson-Davis, half of his points didn't come per se in the post. They came because he was just simply active.
Sure.
There was a couple transition buckets. There was an offensive rebound. There was just him being really, really active. And then I noticed in the second half, he was spending a lot of time getting the ball at the top of the key. Yep. And I'm like, why are you posting so high? And then by the few times he would try to free himself down the paint. They just didn't get it in there to him. But I blame him as much as I blame Archie Miller, as much as I blame the guards on IU in that second half. I think that all three of them didn't do their job. I don't think that Trey Jackson did a good enough job of doing what he did in the first half. I think the guards didn't do a good enough job of finding him when he was open. And I think Archie Miller did a terrible job of not saying, hey, stop. This is what worked, and we're not doing this. Let's get back to that. And so, I think it was a combination of all those things.
Well, I cannot believe I'm getting ready to say this.
Well, go ahead and say it. Tell the world.
I believe and agree with everything you're saying. Like this is astonishing that we can promise each other and everybody we watched this independently, and we've not talked about it since the two of us watched the Escape film. But I'm going to tell you, all of those factors are exactly right, and I agree with all of them. And that here's what So when someone's going to say, you can't blame Trace Jackson Davis, he's running the offense. Well, you know what? Look at the two players from Arkansas, the Joe and Jones, Isaiah Joe and Marion Jones. Look at those two guys. And if you go back and watch their offense, they didn't even run an offense. All they did is pass the ball around until one of those two guys got it.
and dribble around.
And he dribbled around until he until he either shot it or passed it to the other guy. And that guy shot it. And so what I'm saying with that is Trace Jackson Davis could have gotten that ball on the wing and just kind of waved everybody out of the way.
Cleared them out.
And made a move to the basket. Here's an interesting thought. Like, I was trying to watch this and see. You said it a second ago that Trace Jackson Davis scored half of his points not really being in the post. He didn't score any points from actual post feeds, him making a post move and scoring a basket. I don't think there was any.
There may have been a couple, but
I don't think there was any. I'm telling you.
It was definitely the exception and not the rule.
No, if you're talking about a guy driving to the lane and kicking it off to him and him making a basket, that's not considered a post feed.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. There wasn't much of that. There was very little.
He made one move. It was like the second play of the game. He caught it on the left, or if you're staring at it, on the right baseline. He made a move into the middle of the lane. He shot a little left-hand jump hook, and he short-armed it and missed it. And,
you know who made the best post move in the first half?
Race Thompson.
Exactly.
Left-handed jump hook.
Exactly.
Yeah, awesome. That's
a classic, perfect. Get it down, back your guy a little bit, bam, 4 foot, boom.
If he has the capability of making that move and on a regular basis, because I mean it looks smooth as can be. And he's not left-handed, so it was smooth as can be. If he has the ability to make that move, I mean, he needs to be on the floor 30 minutes a game, because he brings a lot of other things to the table, and he can defend as well as Joey Brunk and those kinds of things. But from the standpoint of, Indiana's offense, that kind of is there's where you want to say with the coaching staff, okay, they're not putting Trace Jackson Davis, they're not putting the ball in his hands in the right spot enough. And so there's my issue with that. Watching him and Joey Brunk out there on the top of the key, catching the ball and reversing the ball from one side of the floor to the other, I for the life of me can't understand it.
And I'm going to go ahead and say it. That is where I fully blame the coaching staff, and that starts with Archie Miller, of not just going, whoa, stop, timeout. What the hell's going on? This is what worked in the first half, and this is what's going to work in the second half if you guys will do this. And I don't see that happening.
But what do you mean? Like, what worked in the first half?
Well, you're right. Trace Jackson Davis being active, for one thing. I'm going to say, Trace, what's up, man? Where are you? You got to get active again. Splash the hands, get down there and work harder.
Here's something that I wanted to try to watch and see. I wanted to see if Arkansas's game plan was to double team Trace Jackson Davis when he got the ball in the post.
Right.
You want to know why I couldn't figure that out? Because he never caught the ball in the post.
Yeah.
There was not a single post feed to Trace Jackson Davis in this. That's not true. There was the one I mentioned at the very beginning of the game, and he made such a quick move. It looked like they were coming to double team. But why I wanted to figure that out is because the offense adjusts and changes. It's a great thing in my opinion, when the other team, I'm a shooter. From a shooter's perspective, it's a great thing when the other team goes in double teams. Somebody's going to be open. And if you put yourself in the right spot, it's going to be you. And so I wanted to see if they were coming to double team and just leaving Indiana open, that's my guess is what they were going to do. But we never got to find out because Indiana never made any true post feeds. There's not one true post feed in the second half of that basketball game. It's disgusting.
Yeah, and that the concern that gives me is a couple. But number one is this is a team that does not have a plan. And if they do, it's a team that's not sticking to the plan. And if they are, it's a team that's not executing the plan. I don't know what the plan is, but it doesn't look like there is one because you have to ask yourself, okay, so what was the plan in the second half? Was there one? Why are these guys coming out and reversing the ball like you're talking?
Yeah, I mean,
why is that going on?
That's their offense. That's where I know I've been argumentative with you about blaming things on the coaching staff, and blame's not the right word. I don't think they're running the right offense. I don't think they're running the offense that is most conducive to this team scoring the basketball. And we've got the ball in the perimeter a lot, and we don't have very many perimeter scorers. So that to me is a little bit of an issue.
There was another time where, speaking of Trace Jackson-Davis, he's out high. He gets the ball, gives it back to Devontae. Devontae, without a split second, fires up the three-pointer with Trace Jackson-Davis right to his right, out on the top of the key. You got nobody underneath to rebound the ball. And then there was a kick out to Demezy Anderson on the baseline over in the corner. And I guess either I haven't paid attention or that was an anomaly, but that was an ugly, ugly shot. That it was, as soon as the ball hit his hands, it was released inside of like 0.3 of a second. It's just like boom, bam.
Yeah, that's his shot.
Flicking, that's
shot, though.
That's an ugly shot.
Here's something. I've said this for 2 years now, 2 seasons now. Is Demezy's kind of looked at by people. I'm not really sure who gave him this characteristic. But he's kind of looked at as a shooter, and I'm telling you,
I'm not seeing it.
He did not. It's not even not seeing it. He did not get recruited as a shooter. He was not a shooter in high school. He was not a shooter in AAU. He's not a shooter. He's a decent scorer from 15 feet and in. But have you ever seen him do that at IU? I don't know if I've ever seen him take a shot inside of 15 feet that wasn't a pure layup.
So basically, the thing we've learned is that this offense has to run through Trace Jackson-Davis to be successful.
It has to run through the inside. I don't care if it's Joey Brunk,
right, or Race Thompson, or Joey Brunk, because we've seen Joey Brunk have that kind of game, and that's another thing I saw too. You said this. Joey Brunk had 11, 14 rebounds on the day. Man, his first 5 rebounds were just out in space, just balls bouncing on the floor.
Right, you and I would have got him. I mean, anybody would have got him.
Yeah. And I'm not knocking him. At least he's there to do that. But that was.
But they're not competitive rebounds where he's.
This was not the Notre Dame game,
6'10", right? And he's not getting those rebounds because he's busting his butt and he's 6'10" out there out battling somebody and blocking somebody out. They weren't even going to the boards.
They were sitting outside shooting.
Their coaching staff admitted that their goal, their plan in the game was to chuck up as many threes as they could get up.
Why are they going to try to beat a 6'8", 6'9", 6'11" guy? They can't do it.
Right.
In that regard.
So when you, I told you, I've watched this way too many times. I'm in a bad mood about Indiana's offense, and they're just Justin Smith. If you really want to, I really want to be a gigantic Justin Smith fan. I think Justin Smith has the ability to be OG Anunoby level good, with more athletic ability, if that's even possible, which he is more athletic. But I mean,
got to have a desire, man.
He had so many opportunities to just demand the ball in the lane, and he had a 6'2" guy guarding him that it would truly be the equivalent of me guarding him. And he should be able to punish me in the lane with his size. He's thick. It's not like he's a real skinny guy that get pushed around. He's got to develop a game that's got his back to the basket. I don't even care if it's then shooting turnaround, little jump hooks or face up, bank shots off the basket from 8 feet. He's got to develop that game in there, because until Indiana starts playing from the inside out, we're going to continue to have these games where they super struggle from the outside.
Had some football yesterday. Louisville knocks off Mississippi State. What a turnaround for that Louisville program. They go 2-8 in Bobby Petrino's last season, in which Louisville paid him, I don't know, was it $14-16 million to leave? Swear to God, I'm telling you,
it's insane.
They gave him, it was either 14 or 16 million to leave because he basically quit on that team. That's a team that gave up 50 points in either its last 5 games or at least 5 games that season, which was the year before last. This year, they turn it around. You bring in Scott Satterfield from App State. They go 8-5. They cap off the
That's
season.
incredible.
Well, now part of that is they play in the ACC, and that's the weakest conference in the history of mankind, because you saw Virginia in the Orange Bowl last night give Florida a hell of a game. But Virginia is a team that Indiana has beaten in consecutive years, including, I think, didn't they play not this past season,
but last year
and the year before that. So that's how bad that conference is. That was your second best team to Clemson, was Virginia. And they lose to Florida. What was that final score? 36-28. It was a pretty good game. Kind could have been real close, but it was fun. And tonight we got a lot more. There's 5 more games on tap. Virginia Tech, Kentucky. We'll talk about that. Florida State, Arizona State, Navy, Kansas State, Wyoming, Georgia State. And then Utah and Texas is basically the only really marquee game, I guess you'll call. But we'll talk about all that, make some picks, and plenty to get to. Chronic Hoosiers on the program today as well. We got lots and lots to talk about and plenty of time to get there. Stay tuned. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Larry from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
You ain't nothing but a hound dog. Quit snooping around my door. You just don't.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as a Hoosier. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
This segment is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary here on this New Year's Eve Tuesday. Thanks a lot for joining us. Golf Club Eagle Point Studios. A lot of games on tomorrow. The big games are on tomorrow, Todd. There's some games today. There's like 5. They've really got it spread out. 5 today, 4. There's only 4 games tomorrow, but man, are they good.
Well, they look good on paper.
Yes,
The bad part is how many different guys. The first thing that would probably be Googled on each one of those is who's not playing for Michigan and Alabama, and who's not playing for Auburn, who's not playing for Oregon, Wisconsin.
Yeah, I haven't. You know what? I haven't heard a lot of that this year. I know that it's happened some, but tomorrow, number 14 Michigan taking on number 13 Alabama. Jim Harbaugh has had a miserable run at Michigan. It's hard to say it's been a miserable run. He wins 10 games every year, but one thing. He cannot beat Ohio State, which they care about that as much as anything in the world.
Right.
And I don't know what his bowl record is there, but I don't think it's that great. But this is an opportunity here to get a gigantic win to close the season out. If you can beat an Alabama team that was fighting for a spot in the college football playoffs, then Minnesota, as good a season as they had, there's still a few people that didn't quite.
Yeah,
you look
at they beat Penn State, and that is a big win and a great win. Other than that, they didn't beat anybody. Their wins are as not impressive as Indiana's.
Well, they're a 7.5 point underdog to Auburn, so there's your opportunity. You want to get on the big stage, beat a big dog like that,
right.
buddy. That'll sure get you. That
right.
changes things in a hurry. And Oregon and Wisconsin, that Oregon team's just a scary team. And Wisconsin actually a 2.5 point favorite in the Rose Bowl. It's surprising.
I mean, the final score in that game might be like 14-10. Like that might be the lowest scoring game in all.
I don't know, man. Oregon's tough to hold down. Now that may be Georgia Baylor.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. That one might be 7-3.
Yeah. Well, what do you think Michigan Alabama's going to be?
I mean,
and don't forget they don't have Tua.
The issues with that is you just don't know. There's probably the team's best defensive ends that are eligible for the NFL. They're probably not playing, and the best defensive linemen are not playing. I mean, it's just. I'm
interested in seeing Minnesota-Auburn. Minnesota's high-powered offense. I'm looking forward to seeing that. That ought to be a very, very interesting contrast in styles.
Yeah, I mean that'll be or I guess you don't know. I mean, I'm assuming no one from Minnesota would sit that game out, no matter what. They don't even have anyone that I guess would be on the roll projection or the draft projections super high, would they?
Wouldn't. It's hard to tell. It doesn't matter who the team is. But I don't.
It does matter all that. If Indiana had
we just need to put that stuff aside. And
if Indiana had one, do you think Indiana would sit out?
I think it depends on who it is.
You really often, think they would?
No, I don't think. I think it depends on who it is, but I think more likely they would not because of this team has a different mindset. It's the LEO, the love each other. They're all in. They're all bought in, and
this is this team's only chance of playing in the Gator. I mean, they're doing something, win or lose. No matter what you want to say about the record or what you want to say about anything, I mean, they're playing in the Gator Bowl, and this is something they have a chance to talk about forever. Auburn knows they're playing in a bowl every year. I mean, they're playing in the Outback Bowl. The guys in this team have probably already played in the Outback Bowl. I mean, if they're going to be seniors or they're going to go to the NFL draft, there's not a whole lot of incentive for them to play. Indiana, Minnesota, teams like that are in a different position. I mean, they're not in that position every year and don't know when they're going to be back. So, it's a different program. History has a lot to do with it. And I don't mean history like how good you were 30 years ago. I mean how good you've been in the 4 years that your players have been there. That's just my opinion. I don't know.
The other games that we've got scheduled, put that down there. Virginia Tech is a 2.5 point underdog against Kentucky. I promise I'm taking Virginia Tech. I don't care what the situation is. So
you will not hear favored and Kentucky come out of my mouth.
I don't care if they're playing.
Yeah.
They could be playing North Korea with Kim Jong-un as a coach and
the quarterback.
And his starting quarterback is Saddam Hussein. And that would be my team if they were playing Kentucky. Florida State, ASU. Here's kind of I don't know what to call this kind of a battle. Florida State, who was not good this year, they were so bad, they fired their coach and paid him upwards of $18 million to leave.
Insane.
So just leave. Man, why don't somebody pay me to leave? I'll leave. Pay me. You don't even have to pay me $18 million. Just give me a nice little, like little something, and then I'll leave. Heck, These guys are getting paid all this money to leave. That's got to make you feel great as a coach.
That's what
they like you so much. They paid you $18 million to get the hell out of here to not coach that team.
When you have $18 million, here's why it doesn't make you feel bad. because you probably have a good chance of getting hired somewhere else.
Oh yeah,
it might be a smaller program, but
Who
you
cares?
got $18 million, so who cares? You don't really care what your new salary is going to be, so you can coach for anything.
Yep.
And at worst case scenario, if you've got any personality at all, you go work for ESPN or Fox. And if you don't have any personality, then you work for some team's radio station.
Yeah.
I mean, your life is set. I mean, you've won the lottery.
So Florida State's got an interim coach going on, and then you got on the other side of the coin, you got Herm Edwards and Arizona State. You play to win the game. Herm Edwards is a former NFL player, NFL coach, NFL analyst on ESPN. He was just he's a character, but he's done a good job there. I'll take the Sun Devils in that one, 2.5-point favorite.
Man, I just because of my buddy Scotty Shepard, I'm going to take Florida State. But I couldn't name a single player on their team. I don't know anything. Well,
I couldn't either.
But I'm going to take Florida State. Just
now, here's a tough one. To me, this is the toughest game of the day to pick. Navy is a 3-point favorite over Kansas State. Is Bill Snyder still even there?
Is he still living?
He may not be. I don't know.
He is. He's still there.
But K-State's just one of those teams. Yeah, every time you pick against them, it's like, they do something funny. But that Navy, doesn't Navy run the wing tee and all that? It's like, man, that is so hard. Now, they have had a month to prepare for that. So that's the only positive thing that I could see from that. But
I'm taking Navy just because they flew on the Patriots plane to go to the game.
Oh, that does it. I'll take Kansas State.
There was probably some playbook. They probably left Kansas State's playbooks on the plane for them, and the Patriots hooked them up.
Wyoming and Georgia State, the Cowboys are a 7.5-point favorite. I'm going with the Cowboys.
Just because you couldn't name Georgia State's mascot?
Yeah, well, you just took Georgia State, so there. Here's the game of the day.
Do you know Georgia State's mascot?
I do not.
I don't either.
Here's the game of the day. Texas lost. Utah's a 7.5-point favorite. Tom Herman and Texas trying to end their season on an upswing. Who you want?
Well, if I went based on everything you heard about Utah prior to that Oregon game, I mean, you hear about Utah has a top 3 defense in the country, so you would want to take them. Was it Ellinger, the quarterback from Texas? I like that kid. He's fun to watch. So I'm going to take offense over defense. I'll take Texas.
Great. I already had it marked down. I took Utah.
Perfect.
Ready to roll. We've only got one that we agreed on. It was the first one. That's just because Kentucky's in it.
There's no way. Yeah, we're taking Virginia Tech versus.
So that doesn't really count. So we just got
fighting morons.
The fighting morons. Man, I can't wait to that next day's slate of games, though. That'll be fun.
I'm gonna have tomorrow morning when we go through them. I'm gonna find out the list of players not playing for each game, so we can go through it.
Yeah.
If you had a son that was a junior in college and had a chance to go to the NFL draft as let's say a tight end, would you tell him he should play in the game? He's playing for Indiana University, playing in the Gator Bowl.
I tell him he needs to do what he wants to do, what his heart tells him to do, but
what would your advice be?
Get an insurance policy and play.
Okay.
They have those insurance policies you can take out.
Yeah.
But
I know, but they're different. I mean, insurance policies.
I understand, but I mean, you can't tell somebody what to do, but
have you noticed the amount of, right along the lines of that conversation, have you noticed, especially in the outdoor games where it's warm weather bowl, the amount of injuries and cramps and hamstring issues and stuff that have been going on with players? It's insane. It'll be interesting to watch in the IU game.
I did not notice.
Oh, it's crazy. Watch what's on today? What's on?
Well, you can imagine a team like Indiana, whose climate is cools down, and then you go down to Florida, even though you're down there for a week. The body's not used to practicing in that weather. You're not. As a matter of fact, you've been off for a week prior to that, so the fluids and all that stuff, and the muscles. People don't understand. It's hard on the
Wyoming going to Tucson, Arizona.
Oh wow, there you go.
Let's see how many injuries they end up coming up with out of that game. I mean, I wanted to say that Arizona-Florida State is the Sun Bowl down in El Paso, Texas, but
they got to be happy to get down
Florida
to Tucson.
State. That's Florida State and Arizona State. They're already warm anyway, so I don't know that it'll be that big a deal. And definitely Virginia Tech and Kentucky. I mean, they're going to Charlotte, North Carolina. It isn't going to be that warm there. I mean, it's probably going to be 60.
Utah, they're a cold weather state, going down wherever they're playing.
Where is that game? Utah. That's in San Antonio, Texas. There you go. That'll be a good call. Plus, you got the University of Texas get to go to San Antonio.
That's going to be a pro Texas crowd.
You took Utah, man. They have no chance of winning.
You're probably right. We'll certainly find out tomorrow. The women's team, they keep winning. They beat Michigan State over the weekend. They play again tomorrow, I believe, at 3 p.m. up at Rutgers. I think Indiana's women's team is going to win the Big Ten. They've done it. They've had one title in
Maryland. Maryland, their competition.
Well, yeah, I mean everybody, but I mean Maryland's the biggest competition. Yeah. Maryland has been a stalwart in the women's game for a while.
So this is a toughie though. They're where tomorrow? Rutgers?
At Rutgers. And Rutgers is also a good Vivian Stringer. That's a great program in the women's side. I mean, that's a
tough game. You know,
very tough game.
You got the women spending the night in New York City on New Year's Eve and a 3 p.m. game tomorrow. How difficult will it be to get these college kids to go to bed at a decent hour tonight? That's a toughie.
To me, they're college kids. You let them sleep in a little bit.
Yeah, won't happen.
You give them an extra hour and get up and at it. And
so when they go to bed at 4:30, you get them up at 9?
See, here's the thing. If you stay up for the ball drop in New York and then go to bed right afterwards, you're all jacked up. There's no way you like, hey, we're in New York. It's New Year's. Happy New Year. You can't just calm that down and go, I can't. In any way, there's no way. It would take me 2 hours to get to sleep at that point.
Yeah, that's
a great point.
There's no way that they allow them to be a part of that. Heck, if they went to that, they wouldn't get back to their hotel till 4 a.m.
Yep. We'll see. I mean, I wouldn't want to be. I mean, I'm gonna do exactly what I'm gonna do tonight. Probably watch it on TV.
Just this is you and I have never had this conversation. This is just truly asking your opinion. So on a typical road trip, let's say IU men's basketball goes to Michigan, and they've got a game at noon the next day or 1 o'clock the next day on CBS. What time would you guess? This is back in my day. I'm going off of my personal experiences. What time would you guess the team goes to bed the night before that?
Oh, goes to bed? Like a curfew bedtime?
Yeah, I mean, curfew is not the right word because we're not allowed to leave the hotel. So that's not
right.
even – we didn't go anywhere. I'm just saying. Like,
what time they tell you to go to bed?
What time would you – they don't ever tell you. Like they just expect you to go to bed. Like what time would you assume that the players go to bed?
You guys or normal people?
Yes, us.
1 a.m.?
Yeah, probably at best. We would probably play cards. We would probably play cards until at least 1, sometimes 3. It just depended. Everyone thinks like, oh my gosh, you get prepared. You know, you guys get your minds right.
You can't, man. You got to get your mind off of it.
I'll tell you what. We played Xavier in the NCAA tournament in Indianapolis. It might have been my senior year. It might have been my junior year. I don't remember. But gosh, we stayed up, and it was an early game too. NCAA tournament game. Might have been to go to the Sweet 16. We stayed up till like 4 a.m. Yeah, how stupid is that?
How did it work out?
We won.
Now, did you feel the effects?
Hold on. When I say we, Calvert never did. Calvert was never there. Most of the rest of us idiots were there, but Calvert was never there.
Well, there
That's
you
why
go.
I said he's the best teammate.
That's right.
He led by example.
He was taking care of business.
We just didn't always follow that example.
Now, did you feel the effects of that?
Yes, it was awful. It was terrible. But you're a college kid. I mean, you don't think about that kind of stuff. You don't. I'm telling you, it's not what you. these kids are so much more better conditioned and stuff now today. I mean, they're eating right. They're doing the right thing. I mean, heck, we were ordering pizza.
You mean the Steak and Shake is not their
we would
training
go,
table?
We would go. The first thing I would do when I got to another city like Iowa City or Minneapolis or wherever we went is find out what pizza place is delivered to the hotel so I could order a pizza at like 1 a.m. I did all the time.
Oh, man. Well, we're going to see who orders a pizza right now because we got to take a break. But I could eat a pizza right now. I'm hungry. But we got lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary. Chronic Hoosiers on with us today. We have plenty more to talk about. We'll be back with more at the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary. Happy New Year! Happy New Year's Eve, I guess I should say. Here on this New Year's Eve Tuesday. Hope everyone's got big plans tonight. I'm not really doing anything.
Man, it's just crazy. I mean, does anybody really do anything? Once you get older, you don't really do anything.
I've got a 5 a.m. wake-up call tomorrow. I can promise you I will not be doing much. I may not see midnight.
I haven't seen midnight in at least 5 years, maybe longer.
Yeah,
I'm not even trying to be funny. Like, I'm not kidding. I don't ever stay up till midnight.
Yeah, it's life sure does change when you get to become an adult. Not nearly as fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, once you have stuff you have to worry about and care about, it's a lot different. It's a lot different.
Yeah, there's certainly that. Indiana taking on Tennessee in the Taxslayer Gator Bowl in Jacksonville coming up Thursday, 7 p.m. on ESPN. Looking forward to that. Had Katie George on with us yesterday. Grateful to have Katie on. She will be covering the sidelines for ESPN in that game. Looking forward to it. Seeing what Indiana can do, man. I really think that Indiana's going to win that game.
Well, of course we think that.
No. I'm sitting there thinking about it. I think that Kalen DeBoer, this is he knows how badly Tom, and I know everybody always wants to win. You can always say the coach wants to win. Of course. But Tom Allen wants to win this game more than if there is a more. He really wants. They haven't because of the first that he's achieved this year with his program. They haven't won a bowl game since 1991. He wants to end this season with a bowl win like nothing you can imagine. I mean, he wants it badly. That's why I
agree with you. But here's the scary part of that for me is he also wanted to win the bucket that badly also, and they played horrible in that game. I mean, Purdue's a terrible team, and they let Purdue. Purdue should have won. I mean, Indiana was very lucky to win that game, or very fortunate. I mean, they won, so give them credit. But I mean, they wanted to win the bucket. They talked about the bucket like it was a bowl. And,
yeah, you're right.
And they wanted to win it that well, and they didn't really come out and have a strong performance.
You know, Jennifer said the smartest thing that any of us have said today. Nothing good happens after 10 p.m. Happy New Year.
I don't know if she's ripping us or giving us credit. I can't. That's a backhanded dig.
No, I think she's acknowledging the who cares what. Yeah,
I appreciate the backhanded dig.
No, not about that at all. I don't think. But yeah, she's right. She's right. Now it's usually midnight. Nothing happens good after midnight. But yeah. But she is correctamundo. But Indiana is going to be I think they're going to unleash the dogs. Kalen DeBoer, he's on his way out. If he can get a win on his way out, man, that just really sends him off with a great vote of confidence. And to get a win over an SEC team, it would just be – I think during the season they've had to be relatively conservative, trying to do this, trying to do that. And I think this is a game where, you know what, it's not that you don't have anything to lose, but it's kind of like that. This is not a conference game. You've already. This is not trying to get bowl eligible. You've already gotten all that stuff. You're here, so just let it all hang out. Let the chips fall where they may. Throw everything but the kitchen sink at them.
Here's this is an interesting because of the tragedy. It was brought to light, but the offensive coordinator for LSU's daughter-in-law was killed in a plane crash right before the game last weekend. And so there was a lot of attention brought to the offensive coordinator position up there. Did you watch a lot of that? Did you see a lot of what they talked about?
I mean, somewhat, but not.
My point in all of that is, did you see the fact that there was an assistant offensive coordinator who basically called all the plays?
Yeah, but that's not how it worked they may have had that set up.
It's been that way all year long. They've had it that way all year long.
Well, then they were prepared for that. This is not a case where that is a situation.
But my point is not the fact of Indiana needs to change something for this particular game. My point is the fact of this is the best team in the country with the best offense in the country, and that's how they do it. Maybe it might be something you want to do from now on.
Well, but when you have a Heisman winning quarterback that throws 55 touchdowns, kind of makes that job a lot easier.
I'm not saying anything about the job. I'm saying the fact of they have two people doing it. Like you always have to be prepared for situations like this. I mean, Indiana, let's be for real. You're not leaving. If the offensive coordinator from LSU is leaving, he's going to get a head coaching job somewhere else. But it's going to have to be a pretty darn good job in order for that to happen.
Right.
Indiana, that's not the case. I mean, he's leaving to go to Fresno State. So you have to be prepared for the fact of that's a possibility. And then you looked at the fact that Fresno State's coach was 800 years old, and you had to realize that's where Kalen DeBoer came from. There's a decent chance that he leaves this year or next year. I mean, I'm just saying, Indiana, I would feel better had they been preparing more for this. I feel like we're unprepared.
They're fine. Kalen DeBoer is going to.
You can't say that. Like,
Kalen DeBoer is calling the plays. I can say that,
but you don't know. You don't know that he is given 100%.
I am not. I have zero concern.
Planning.
I have 0.00% concern about that. They're running the same offense they've played all season long.
You do not give near enough credit to game planning and studying film and that stuff. I'm just telling you.
Okay.
If you're saying that they run the same plays they run all year long, so he can call them. If that's honestly the case, that
here's
you and
the
I
thing:
can watch every game.
There's only so much you can plan for. What happens is
no, there's not.
Hold on. My point that I am trying to make is the biggest thing that happens is during the game and how you react during the game to the situation at hand, down and distant, defense, what they're in, what they just switched to, and all of that. All that stuff that happens at the time of the play and all that, that's when it all comes down. I mean, you can plan for whatever you want to, but everybody's plan changes when you get punched in the mouth. And that's what happens when the game actually starts. Now you've got to actually play what's going on the field. You can plan all you want, but now when you're in this situation, you didn't plan for that. Or maybe you prepared for it. But anyway, this is the down distance. This is what you're facing. This is the defense you're facing. This is the obstacles you're facing now. So that's why I think that they are in as good a shape as they could possibly be in with having the guy that got them there.
Okay.
So there's that. But then now that we brought that up, now it's interesting. What direction do they go? Does Tom Allen go out? And I will go right on record again in saying that they need to go out and find the next Kalen DeBoer. They do not need to hire from within. Do not make that mistake. There's a reason you went out and you got this guy who was as good as you could get for that position last year. And look at the result. You had the best offensive output you have had in a long, long, long time. And you have an offense that I think could be even better next year. So I want to have another guy just like that, not some guy that has never done it, that has never called plays, that has never been an offensive coordinator. He wants to be one. That's fine. But this is not a place to learn on the job, I don't think. But I don't know anything.
Well, I memean, I think that they should get the best person for the job. I'm not as adamant as you are in saying that person's not already at IU. And, people get their starts, because of opportunities that present themselves just
Absolutely.
like this.
Tom Allen's a perfect example.
He is. Mike Hart might be, and I'm only bringing his name because he's the only one I can say off the top of my head.
He may be the perfect example of the guy. He's probably the most logical candidate from within.
So I'm just gonna say this, and I am a Kalen DeBoer fan. I'm an Indiana football fan. I love it when they have super success. But I don't think Kalen DeBoer is the messiah of offensive coordinators. And I think he did a good job. They put up 14 points against Michigan. They put up 10 points against Ohio State. So their in-game
with their backup quarterback,
their in-game adjustments weren't necessarily what you're saying. They didn't put up 41 points and get beat. I mean, they put up 10. And so
I get it with their backup quarterback.
Which is exactly who they're going to have right now.
Right. I agree with you.
So,
but you're talking against Ohio State and Michigan, two of the absolute best teams in the country.
Okay. But let's not act like Kalen DeBoer's the only offensive coordinator capable of doing this job.
I'm not. I'm just saying.
You kind of are.
No, what I'm saying is he's actually one of the best at his job. And there's no way that someone who has never called a play can be close to being the best at that position without with zero experience. That's what I'm saying. You cannot, there's no way that there's anybody on that staff that can come close to his over a decade of experience of doing this thing. You cannot take someone who has never done it versus someone who has done it successfully for over a decade and say, yeah, that's close enough.
Successfully at over a decade where?
It doesn't matter where. Everywhere.
It does matter where.
It does not matter.
Hey, then let's go get somebody that coaches in a youth football league.
Whoa. He proved that this year that it doesn't matter because he did it at Indiana against a much
You're
better
getting fired up.
competition.
You're getting fired up over something that doesn't need to get fired up over.
Yeah, that's what we've got to do.
We don't have to. No, we don't. We argued all day yesterday, and I got tired of it. We don't need to argue about
just
it.
Just the last segment.
Well, we're in the last segment now. So.
I know that's the argument zone. That's just my opinion on it. I mean, he's not the Messiah. Absolutely not. I agree. But here's the thing that Indiana has done, and they've done too much of it. They've made okay hires, and not just in any different sports.
You could say the same thing that Tom Allen was an okay hire then.
He wasn't even an okay hire. On paper, he was the wrong hire. On paper.
Okay.
Now, and
now you love it.
And he's the exception, not the rule. It's working out. But part of why it's worked out is he went out and he got someone like Kalen DeBoer who ran this offense and made them look like superstars this year. That's part of the reason why he didn't, because before this season, he was 5-7 and didn't make a bowl game. This year, they bring him in and they go 8-4. Big difference, and there's a reason why. And that is showing exactly proof of what I'm saying. Gigantic reason, 3-game swing, and that's what happens when you have someone who is good at what they do in that area. And I think that's why you've got to do the same thing to keep this momentum going.
I think they need to hire the best person for the job. I'm not certain that the best person isn't already there. You've said yourself you want the offense to be very similar, and you don't want to change things up for the guys who are already there. That's a bunch of young guys coming back.
That's what Tom Allen wants, and it makes sense. I get that. I mean, you're going to have an offensive coordinator that is good, but yet knows that, hey, I've got to coach this style. But, of course, I think that's easy because I think that there's guys out there that already coach this style. It's not like this is, Kalen DeBoer didn't invent offense. So I think they can find someone that fits that bill. But
Are you sure?
Absolutely. Man, there's a ton of them out there. You just have to find them and put the time in getting them like they did with Kalen DeBoer, go outside and find them. But we'll see what they do. I guess, having Kane Womack, who is basically learning on the job as a defensive coordinator. And I think that showed this year. I think a lot of people will say that showed this year because this defense is kept them from being a lot better than what they could have been. And I think that's a big reason why. There was a reason why you saw Tom Allen ripping his head off. I think it was at the Michigan State game when they're going in at halftime. He was just tearing Kalen DeBoer's head off his shoulders. But I think that you never saw that on the offensive side. But I just think especially with Tom Allen being an inexperienced head coach, he's still learning. He's still, doing well, but he's still learning. I don't think you want to have a head coach, an offensive coordinator, and a defensive coordinator all learning on the job. I just don't think that's a very good combination or a very good recipe.
I mean, ideally, I think that what you're saying is exactly right. I don't think that there's any argument against that. But I also do believe in the fact of these, greatness happens because of, you find people that are great at a job because they're given an opportunity. And that's exactly how Tom Allen got his job. And I don't necessarily, I'm not against that. I think I would rather, if I was Tom Allen, I'd rather find the next guy that's going to be great and develop that person the way I wanted him developed rather than go find somebody and come in and say, hey, okay, it's your offense. Show me, make it great. I mean, I'd rather have somebody that I don't know. I mean, I get.
No, I understand what you're saying. I mean, and there's not that there's things about it I agree with. And we'll neither one of us are inside of there, so we don't know. There's things that we don't know, and I acknowledge that as well. So we'll see how it turns out. I just want to see him go out and get someone like they did with Kalen DeBoer. That's not that has a proven track record that this is what they do well. But we'll see what they do. Just my opinion on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
it's an opinion.
It's definitely one, and it's definitely one that has people on both different sides of it. I just, you look back at the hires at Indiana, and you go back to basketball, and Some teams.
Here's where I guess maybe I should make this point. And I don't really need to make the point because I don't have a reason for it. I'm not against Kalen DeBoer at all. I don't think Kalen DeBoer has been as awesome as you think he has been. I think he's made an improvement to the offense, but it isn't like all of a sudden they are Memphis with 650 yards a game and they're Alabama or they're LSU or something like that. They're improved.
They were second only to Ohio State in the Big Ten at yards per game.
They're improved over what they were.
Massively improved.
They're improved over what they
Massively improved. Massively. What's that, Jake? I figured that's what you were saying. Yeah, it's good time to get out. We Chronic Hoosier coming up in the next hour. Plenty more to talk about. See, Jennifer texted back, says she's too old to stay up late. That's why she's not going to stay up. And then Alan texted in, Peyton Ramsey, not a backup quarterback. Yes, he is. Michael Penix is your starter, Alan. He is a backup quarterback. I don't care how good he played. He's still a backup quarterback. Michael Penix is the starter. He's out with an injury. He was the
starting quarterback at one point, I think.
He has been.
He has been the starting quarterback.
He has been the starting quarterback because he was the best that they had. But the minute they get someone who's I get that. He's great.
You're doing what Kentucky would do in this instance. So you're using it as an excuse. He's 1A and 1B starting quarterback. And Tom Allen would
excuse for what?
For if they lose. This is what Kentucky would do.
I'm not talking about the game.
You're saying they're winning with a backup quarterback.
I'm not talking about the game. I'm talking about Allen's text saying Peyton Ramsey is not a backup quarterback. He is a backup quarterback. He is the backup quarterback for Indiana. Michael Penix is the starting quarterback. He's out because of injury. Peyton Ramsey has been a starter, yes, but he is not the starting quarterback for Indiana. Michael Penix is. And next year when they both are back, Michael Penix will again be the starter for Indiana because he is the best quarterback of the two. And there's no argument to that. I mean, it doesn't matter how well people see him playing okay. The thing is, Michael Penix would have, who knows how much better they could have done because Michael Penix wasn't. There's a reason they chose him as a starter. But I've gone way over. Jake's going to slap my hand because we're way over and we're late. So let's get out of here. We got more to come back on Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle O'Leary. Chronic Hoosier is going to join us. We got more. Stay tuned. Back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alumni, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make it tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Coyle.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary coming to you on this New Year's Eve. Hope you're having a great day. Your holidays have been wonderful. Christmas is come and gone. New Year's Eve or New Year's Day up next tomorrow. The day after that, Indiana taking on Tennessee and Jacksonville, Florida, the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl. Indiana looking to close out the season on a winning note and move to 9 wins for only the third time in program history. That's a pretty big deal if they can get that done for them. Talked about yesterday, they have more opportunities than they've had in the past. But, I really started thinking about that too, Todd. That they've had a lot more opportunities for 50 years and they haven't gotten it achieved. So
is that how long it's been? Have they always? How long have they been playing?
1967. They haven't won 9 games since 1967, I think. This is the first time they won 8 games since 93, I believe.
Is it really?
I believe so. It's that the bad thing about that shows you how awful the Indiana football program has been. It's sad that they got close in the Mallory era. I don't think he ever won 9 games. I'm gonna have to go back and look, but I think it's 67 since they won 9. Yeah, because I think it was in the 40s and the 60s, and now they have the opportunity to do that. But that, to me, there's no reason that the program should be that bad. I mean, you've got to have a year or two up, but Indiana football just simply has not. No one has been able to do it. That's why I remember talking to Ken Bykoff once about how Tom Allen was really not the right hire on paper, but then he made the point, why not? Because they've tried Cam Cameron. They tried Jerry DiNardo. They had Sam White in here. They've had all these different guys that couldn't do it. So what do you got to lose? That's actually the truth. What did you have to lose? So you bring in a guy who's very unorthodox as a head coach because he hadn't been one, but he has things that you just can't teach, can't coach, can't whatever. This spirit he has and his ability to get players to play for him. To get 113 players on the same page, and it certainly appears that he has that going on. That's tough to come by, and it's remarkable that of all the names that you look back and that they've hired to be head coach of Indiana, Tom Allen is the guy that's getting it done, and you just got to take your hat off and just say, wow, job well done. Now this is 1 year and they got to continue this, but I think that will continue, hopefully, because they look good moving forward. Like I said, next year, I think this team could be better next year, Todd, than this team offensively. You've got Michael Penix back. You've got a lot of those offensive guys back, the running backs back. And this gives them an opportunity to bulk up that offensive line a little bit, get better on defense. I truly believe they could be better next year than they were this year.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you, as an Indiana fan, that's what I really like about Tom Allen. I mean, he's building the culture of the program. And, it's funny, like when you hear the introduction of our show and that stuff, when you hear the people on there say, hey, this is Jordan Holes or Brian Evans and things like that. It stands out to me that Tom Allen says, I'm Indiana University's football coach, Tom Allen. Like
he has to announce himself.
He's proud
oh,
of
yes.
that.
He's going nowhere. He loves being here.
That's exactly right. I mean, he'd have to get offered the job at the freaking Colts in order for him to leave. Like, this is the job that he wants. He loves it. He believes in it. And he's building a culture. And it's not a bunch of rah-rah stuff. I mean, there was I'm going to single him out. It sounds like I'm picking on him, but I'm really not. But I mean, Tom Crean was a lot of rah-rah. Like, there was, he was high energy like Tom Allen. He was a lot of rah-rah, but it
may not have been
I don't know that I ever felt
legitimate.
It was genuine. I don't know that I felt it was genuine. I mean, Tom Allen, if you don't he's like, I use Bill Mallory all the time because I used to play in a lot of varsity club golf events back right when I graduated from school, and Bill Mallory would always be the coach or be the speaker at these golf events. And I'm telling you, we played in like 20 of them in the summer.
You're ready to go play afterwards.
Every single time we'd be in Sellersburg, or we'd be up in Fort Wayne, or we would be whatever. And every time coming out of that place, I mean, everybody in the building was ready to run out and play a football game. And Tom Allen gives you that same feeling, and he gives you that same, you just get pumped up. And you can imagine how much the players want to play for him.
Well, I think and man, I hate to venture to say this, millennials, I grew up, you grew up in an area where coaches were not quite that way. They tried to achieve, to motivate you with many different methods.
Yeah.
And many of them were not what you would call positive reinforcement.
How much? Okay. So this is perfect timing for you to say that based on what you and I did yesterday, which was watching the IU basketball game. Repeatedly over and over again. Did you notice how much, like, after every turnover and every really bad mistake and Rob Finney almost airballing 2 technical free throws? I mean, Archie Miller had to be Johnny Positive over there. I mean, he's clapping his hands and telling everybody, come on, it's okay, let's go. If you could read his lips, he kept going, come on, guys, let's go, let's play. And I'm just sitting there going, what world are we living in? I mean, there would have been some foots up some butts based on the way that we understand things from yesteryear.
And I'm not saying all that was right, but
I am definitely not saying that.
But I know you're not. I think you're also saying that all of it's not wrong, because I am. Too. I am because all of it is definitely not wrong. It's like sometimes you need a knot jerked in your tail, and you need to find your butt over on the bench, and you maybe need a little ripping, and you need to sit there and sulk for a minute. And I don't think that these guys get that. I think that it's more I shouldn't say these guys, these kids these days. I mean, it's a different world. I don't know.
It is, but here's something that I think that I'm not sure. Here's where Archie Miller, maybe not being an Indiana person, an IU guy, here's where he might not understand this, and he may not, and he doesn't really have anyone on his staff that's an IU guy, that's a state of Indiana IU guy, that's followed Bob Knight since they were a child. But the difference would be if right now Archie Miller, if Indiana's record instead of 11-2 was 9-4 or 10-3, because we lost a couple more games because he benched guys because they made mistakes repeatedly, like continuously over and over, the same mistake, and they're not showing improvement. So he put him on the bench and he's playing walk-ons. Indiana fans would be okay with that. And that's what they're not okay with is watching Devontae Green throw the same one-handed bounce pass, full court bounce pass that goes straight out of bounds again. Watching Armand Franklin drive to the baseline and throw the ball to the bench because there's no one there. He gets himself in a bad position, which he's done that, 4 times in the pre-conference schedule. And so what I don't think Archie Miller understands in that regard is Indiana fans would be okay with another loss or two. Now they're still going to blast him in social media. That's just the way that it is.
But if they felt like that they were giving the effort,
if they felt like he was making some changes, because I'll tell you right now, the hand clapping, standing over there telling Rob Finney it's okay, it's not okay. We're 13 games into it. It's not okay anymore. You can't make that mistake. And so you tell me. I mean, Rob Finney, we were all saying this 3 games ago. Rob Finney is our he's our leveler out. He's the guy that we feel like is the most level-headed, calm. He's the guy who we all want on the floor as our main guard for this basketball team. Well, after he misses those 2 technical free throws at the end of the game when we need stuff going on, he's probably our second best shooter on the team. He's not even on the floor. And I don't know if that's a mental head case. If you go back and watch the film, he's sitting over there talking to Race Thompson, telling Race Thompson stuff that's going on out there on the floor, sitting on the bench. They can't even put him in the game. There's a reason for that. And I'm not trying to make a big deal about something I don't know anything about, but I'm just telling you, we all agree that Rob is one of the most, he's probably the most solid all-around guard that we have. He's not the best shooter and he's not the best, but he is the best defender. I mean, there's no way he should not be on the floor at the end of that game. He wasn't in foul trouble. The injuries are not there. Like, there's the only thing that's going on has got to be something in his head. And when you miss 2 free throws the way he missed them, it's obvious there's something going on in your head.
We talked about those one-handed Devontae Green passes, and that's another thing. When I went back and rewatched the game, I can't remember a pass that he threw that wasn't one-handed.
Yeah, and I guess the one-handed pass I don't have as big a deal with. I guess when you're trying to throw those one-handed
I'm not supporting it by saying
I know
that.
you're not.
I'm saying sometimes take that extra half a second and
there's 3 in particular that I can tell you off the top of my head that are passes that if he made in the Bob Knight era, he wouldn't play for 5 games. I don't care if he was shooting 75% from the 3-point line. He wouldn't play for 5 games. I don't care if his name was Calbert Chaney. If he did that more than once, if he did it once, he'd get taken out. Coach would say something to him and he would go back in. And if he did it again, he wouldn't play for 5 games. And I don't care if their record was 0-5. That's the way that it is. And when you understand that, you don't make that mistake again. And I'm the last person you're ever going to hear say, I want players playing scared. I want them playing where they know if they make a mistake, they're coming out. I'm the opposite of that. I'm the complete opposite of that.
This is a tough question, or it could put you in a tough position, but the question that came just to my mind right then, is Archie coaching scared?
Scared, I don't know if it's the right way to determine it. I think he's taking the approach of being positive. At least during the game, it looks like that. Now, we don't get to go to practice. We don't see what it's like. I know he's a fiery dude, so I'm going to say he's probably not that positive in practice. but during the game, what are you going to do? I mean, I don't think I've ever seen him, get in somebody's face and scream at him the way Bob Knight did. And we don't want another Bob Knight. We don't. No, but it doesn't have to be that way.
Tom Izzo will do that.
Tom Izzo gets in Cassius Winston's face and goes crazy sometimes.
He did it last year and kind of got called out for a minute. He goes, leave me alone. I'm coaching. Right. He knows what he's doing.
Here's the thing, though. You've got players that I mean, Coach Knight was this way. Anyone that thinks Coach Knight went after everybody on the team is crazy. Coach Knight knew which guys he could go after and which guys he couldn't. And
he knew how to go after them.
And there are certain guys like I'm not sure on this team who Archie Miller could go after. I mean, I'm going to say probably Al Durham, but I don't know that. I don't know that.
Brunk, maybe Joey Brunk.
Nah, I don't know. Probably. You would think so. But I don't know. I'll bet you he could with Trace Jackson Davis. I'll bet you could go after Trace Jackson Davis.
Yeah, I agree with that because I think Trace Jackson's kind of a throwback a little bit. His dad played in the league. I mean, he's had those conversations like, hey, this is not the Girl Scouts. I mean, this is big time playing.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, everything is not always roses, and everybody doesn't have to be nice to you and tell you how good you're doing and all that. Like, it's not. There's no participation awards here. I mean, you
know what the nickname for Tom Crean was that the fans gave him, right? Clappy.
Yeah, I believe it.
They called him Clappy.
I mean, his whole animation is just you know what? I'm sure it will work for him. It just doesn't work for me. Like, I couldn't stand all the hyperness running all around on the sidelines and stuff like that. I mean, you just don't see. You don't see Nick Saban doing that. I mean, that's one of the things with Tom Allen that's a little bit different. I mean, you look at Tom Allen on the sideline. I mean, this dude is going crazy over there on the sideline. You don't see Nick Saban doing that. You don't see.
No, but I understand. It's like when we get going and like too deep into something here, it's not, you can't, it's hard to shut it off.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's natural and it's genuine. It doesn't make it always good, because it's not always good, but at least it's genuine, and it's like that faucet runs a little long. You wish you could have shut that faucet off, but
yeah,
water comes up. The pressure's a little high sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
We got to take it.
I don't mean to keep beating that dead horse. I know I get off on a tangent on that stuff.
No, it's you're exactly right. That's what we need to talk about. But we got to take a break here. Chronic Hoosier going to join us next here on this New Year's Eve day. Not a holiday, I guess, but a New Year's Eve day. Looking forward to that. But we got plenty more coming up. But Chronic Hoosier is going to join us next. Stay tuned. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Larry from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dawkins.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. to Indiana Sports Beat with Coy O'Leary here on this Tuesday, December 31st, last day of the year. Can't think of a better way to cap it off than with a Chronic Hoosier. Chronic, how are you, my friend?
I mean, I can probably give you a million and one better ways, but I'll tell you what, I'll take it. I'm doing well. I'm happy to be here as always. Happy to be celebrating and kind of looking back at everything that happened in this last year, and really excited to look forward into next year.
Yeah, while I'm thinking about it, a lot has gone on this year. What's been, not to put you on the spot, but what's been some of the biggest moments of the year for you in the world of IU athletics?
I think it begins and ends for me personally with the football team's success this year. I hate to be a broken record, but we talked about it before the season started. I talked about it with everybody. I talked with about IU football back in August and throughout the summer even, and said, this was, I didn't feel like this was going to be a make or break year for Tom Allen's career at IU. I didn't feel like it was going to be his quote unquote contract year, if you will, but I felt like it was going to set the table for what was to come when the contract year came. And, in typical fashion, I could not have been more wrong. And it turned out it was Tom Allen's contract year. It turns out Tom Allen, propelled his team to an 8-4 record. They've got a chance at the best record in Indiana football history with the win here this week. I think when you look at the broader picture of IU athletics and just how important, what a linchpin the football program is, I don't think you can come up with a more compelling story. I know Terry Morin would probably like a word with me right now because what IU women's basketball has done has been nothing short of remarkable as well. And maybe there's a recency bias here with the football team standing at the doorstep of the season finale, whereas women's basketball is really just getting started right now, enjoying a program all-time high ranking of 14th in the nation. But for me, it's got to be the football program. I think this is something that Indiana fans have pined for some time. Those like yourself, like myself, who remember the Mallory era, remember just how special it can be and how easily it can be taken for granted when you have a respectable program, when you have one that gives you a place to go travel to, come every holiday season. And just what all that entails, a rising tide lifts all boats in the world of college athletics. An ascendant football program rises all other programs under the administration. I think this is absolutely something that can be a game changer for not just the football team, but for the broader context of Indiana University athletics when they're able to find success and all the riches and the spoils that come with that.
Yeah, I think that programs that have the opportunity to go to bowl games very frequently, the fans may not understand, and therefore the fans of Indiana may not understand that this going to a bowl game, it's a fun thing that most people like to do every year, and if they can, they try to do that every year, and it would be something wonderful to see Indiana fans getting to do every year, and hopefully that's the case from here forward. Difficult to do in the Big Ten, especially in the Big Ten East, because of the non-conference games you have to play and playing in the Big Ten East, but man, the program seems to be heading in the right direction. I personally think this is a team that should be better next year than they are this year.
I think it's very possible. I think it's absolutely very possible. Now, obviously, there's a huge question mark with the offensive coordinator, Kalen DeBoer, getting ready to move on. But I guess those are good problems to have when your team and your program has success. You're going to have some attrition as guys get promoted to other jobs. That's certainly a question mark hanging over the future, but my guess is Tom Allen saw enough from what this offense is capable of, from what this team can do, just how critical it is to have that balance on both sides of the ball within the program. That he's probably, and I'm still anxious to see who gets named that, but I think all things being said, with that's still looming, I think you're exactly right. This is something that they were certainly returning enough talent. You add in the experience and obviously just what they gain, not just from this week, from going through the motions of the bowl preparation, but they get an extra month of practice in advance of this. And I think we also kind of overlook, for all that goes into this, there's so many constraints on what teams can do as far as how coaches can impact their players, their team. and to give them an extra month of fully sanctioned practice and everything that comes with that, I think that's only going to bear, greater fruit down the road for Indiana. So I'm really excited to see exactly what becomes of that. But more than anything, man, I'm really excited to see if 9-win Indiana is something more than just a T-shirt. It's right in front of them. I think it's a great matchup for Indiana. And I think they're kind of like a lot of the games this season against, more evenly matched competition. They're going to have to play a really clean football game. They're going to have to make some plays. They're going to have to create some breaks for themselves. But I think the 9th win is perfectly within reach. I think it's, I think Vegas right now has it as a 2-point spread in favor of Tennessee. But I mean, that's basically a pick 'em at this point, man. I think it's all right there for Indiana to take. And what a better way to finish than beating a perennial blue blood and SEC team and securing the program's, tying for the program's most wins ever.
Yeah, I, as far as the offensive coordinator position goes, I'm not sure what your opinion is on this, but personally, I think that they need to do exactly what they did last time. I think Tom Allen needs to go out and find the absolutely most prolific guy he can get and continue this reign of success, because there's no way that Kalen DeBoer did not have a big part in the success of this team this year. And I think with the offensive components coming back next year, that you would be cheating yourself if you didn't do the exact same thing. And I would sure like to see them go out and just get the absolute brightest mind that they can get in that position.
No, I totally agree. I think one thing, one of the lasting legacies of Fred Glass, in addition to his capital campaigns, the facilities, his investment in the football program and the coaching salaries, but particularly in this instance, the assistant salaries. If I'm not mistaken, Tom Allen was able to negotiate an additional $500,000 for his assistant pool to divvy up as he sees fit. And I would have to imagine he's going to set aside a pretty decent coin in order to go see if he can't snag that next to the seat for Indiana. And I'm not exactly sure where he's going to turn. I've heard a lot of names in the mix, but probably don't expect to hear anything for another week or two after the dust settles following the bowl game. But my guess is the indications I've got so far is they're rapidly moving down that road at a pretty steady pace, recognizing just how important it's going to be to get past that meet and greet phase with the next coach and back into the nuts and bolts, and the off-season programming that's going to enable them to not only hopefully repeat, but build upon all the success they've had this year.
Absolutely. And now the football program down in Florida right now, getting ready and enjoying the spoils. That's the one thing that a lot of these guys on this team, I think I saw a stat that it was single digits, the amount of guys that are on this team that have bowl experience. Of course, that would be going back to what, the Pinstripe Bowl in 2015? No, the Foster Farms Bowl in 2016.
Yeah.
Would be the last time there. But, man, they're having a great time. They're getting to do all the things that teams do. They're having the big team dinners and the welcome dinners and all that stuff and all the things they get to do, go out and having fun. I know they've been at, like, Top Golf and places like that, but just having a lot of fun with each other. And what a way to end, especially for the seniors, to end your career on such a fun trip as they're getting to take.
No, unquestionably, and especially with so many Indiana players coming from not just Florida, but the greater Southeast region as a whole, putting this game in their backyard, giving them the ability to have their family and friends come here. And I think that's one thing Indiana's battled for a long time geographically. When you look at, what we typically consider SEC country, it makes it really difficult for a lot of these kids to make a decision to come to a school, perhaps not the glitteriest school like the Michigans and the Ohio States, but also knowing that making that decision is going to make it really, really difficult for a lot of the people they care about to come see them play frequently. So great reward for all those guys and everyone else on the team for that matter. Because even the Northern boys, I know their families weren't complaining too much when they got to make the call and tell them that we're going to go play somewhere down south. But especially those Southern guys, to play close to home, to play in front of a lot of eyes, I don't think you can overstate enough how important or how impactful just the placement of it is. I mean, there's nothing else on TV other than Indiana football that night. There's no competition for the eyeballs. So it really put a spotlight on the program, the visibility, not just in the region, but nationally, worldwide even, of being the only game in town that night. Just absolutely probably everything we could hope for.
On the basketball side, Hoosiers, of course, coming up with a loss to Arkansas over the weekend, which is not going to be a great loss, I think, at the end of the year, but something they're going to have to bounce back from quickly. They get back into Big Ten play with a trip to Maryland coming up, which is not going to be an easy place to get started, but it's something they're going to have to do.
I certainly hope it's not a repeat of last year, where come Selection Sunday, Hoosiers are looking at that Arkansas result and thinking about what could have been. And hopefully they're able to recover from it in short order here. But that was one of those games that, from a strength of schedule standpoint, from a tournament resume standpoint, just absolutely brutal to see them drop that. And when you contextualize it with the double-digit lead they had in the second half, just complete systemic failure, I think, on the part of the Hoosiers. And it does certainly have the potential to be pretty impactful down the road. Now, there's a whole lot of basketball to be played left. This is perhaps the silver lining here is, the same faults that cost them this game have been evident in recent games, and they've been able to survive it so far. But apparently it wasn't enough to really sink home the lessons of being able to close out a competitive opponent, and it came back and bit them here this weekend. So hopefully that now that the outcome's a little bit different, that changes the way in which they process, that changes the way in which they respond when they find themselves in a similar situation. You can look at this game, and there's a number of things that went wrong for Indiana, not the least of which probably the largest or the greatest of which, they just got away from doing what worked for them. They got away from their own game plan. They allowed themselves to kind of fall trap into what Arkansas was trying to get them to do. That's basically just stop dumping the ball inside, become a jump shooting team. And that's not something Indiana is particularly suited for. It's not something they're going to be able to have a whole lot of success with. And even more so, allowing their offensive struggles to impact their defensive effort and execution. And the combination of all of the above, free throws on top of that, shot selection, it just proved too much for Indiana to overcome. But I think what I'm looking forward to seeing, from this point on, you talked about those lessons learned. At some point, somebody's going to have to, probably in the backcourt, take the lead of this team when they find themselves in a similar situation. And, even though it's a little bit harder, even though the defenses are scheming you a little differently than they did in the first half, they got to find a way to get the ball inside, man. That's just going to be absolutely integral for this team to have a chance to win. And it's not just paint touches. When you talk about getting the ball inside, it's attacking the rim. It's cutting the basket, getting guys on the move, going downhill towards the rim. They've just got to be aggressive. They absolutely cannot allow themselves to get lulled and to just being a jump shooting team, because that's not how this team's built. That's not how this team's going to win. That's not how this team's going to break their current slump and find themselves in the tournament come March. So we'll see if they were able to take anything away from it and how they can process all that. But I'll tell you what, man, those quizzes are going to start coming fast and furious here going forward. As you mentioned, Maryland is no joke this year, and a road game is certainly not the easiest way to start, the heart of the Big Ten season. But what better way to find out what you're made of than going and playing some of the best competition in the nation? And they're going to have that opportunity here for the next 3 months.
Well, someone that's not going to worry about when or where they make the tournaments, the ladies team, the 14th-ranked women's Hoosiers basketball program, continuing their winning ways. A win last weekend over Michigan State to get back get started in Big Ten play. I look down there, man. Chronic, I got to make Indiana the favorite to win the Big Ten championship this year.
I'm not going to lie. I have not seen a lot of the other teams. I understand the records. I've seen the table, if you will, as far as what the conference is looking like this year. But, this is a team that has been incredibly competitive for a number of years now. And all too often you've seen them where they had just ridiculous talent. You look at the Tyra Buss, Amanda Cahill teams, and it was just incomplete. There wasn't enough to get them over the hump, short of a couple of individuals basically having career nights. And that's a whole lot to ask of them on a night-in, night-out basis. Difference this year is that roster is absolutely stocked with talent. They're balanced. They're extremely competitive. There's a lot of great teammates on that team. You can see it. I mean, they've been pulling for each other. You could tell Brianna Weiss and Allie Patberg before they were ever even suited up. Two transfers into the program had to sit out a year. you could tell by their chemistry on the bench that those girls were all in. You could see what they brought as far as a team concept. And this team's absolutely all that. And then some. Any given night, you could basically pick 6 different girls as far as who's going to be the team's leading scorer. They're going to get whatever the defenses give them. They're going to take whatever they want, basically whenever they want. It's just a really fun version of basketball right now. I know a lot of fans like to disparage it's the women's game. There's no dunks. It's not as fast. It's not as strong. If you're a basketball purist such as myself, I don't know that there's a better brand of basketball being played in the entire state of Indiana at any level right now than what Coach Morin's putting on over there in Assembly Hall when those girls suit up. It's just a great team. It's impossible not to root for their success. There are a lot of really great players, a lot of really great characters and personalities on that team. And, man, sky's the limit. I think a Big Ten title is certainly in reach. I think a deep tournament run is certainly is certainly possible for this team if they can continue to stay healthy. And, the scariest thing about this team, man, is they keep getting better every week. I can't wait to see exactly where this team's ceiling is when all the chips fall.
Absolutely, and it's always looking anything but good, man. Everything looks coming up roses for the women's team, and hopefully that continues. Hopefully that continues for all the programs. Hope it continues for you. That was that Christmas a great time for you and the family.
And it's it's kind of wild as the kids get older, and you worry about that Christmas magic and how long it's going to last. And the proverbial cat has been out of the bag for a couple of years now with my crew. And I'll tell you what, man, I gotta love them to death because that doesn't stall their enthusiasm for the event whatsoever. They absolutely had a blast. We're getting ready to take some time off and go meet up with some dear friends up in Michigan here this week. Not going to be able to make it down to Jacksonville for the bowl game. Back in July, we were looking at, this is a lot of my IU roommates and their families, and we were trying to trip plan. And as we were looking at dates, that week between Christmas and New Year's got brought up. I said, no, man, I got a good feeling that's when Indiana's going to be playing in the bowl. And the way that some of these, these Airbnb shake out, we were looking at it and I said, we can take this date. We're actually checking in later this evening. What are the odds Indiana's playing on New Year's Eve or later? Well, lo and behold, that's what I get for planning. So I may go ahead and have to book whatever the date of the Rose Bowl is next year, and we'll just get that out of the way right now because I'm not going to complain too loudly that I can't join when you see where Indiana's falling. So hopefully they'll be able to continue that next year.
Absolutely, man. Well, we appreciate you so much for joining, especially this time of the holidays. We wish you and your family a happy holidays. It continues. Have fun and safe travels up north, brother.
I appreciate it. Happy New Year to everybody listening. Y'all be safe out there.
Thank you very much. There's Chronic Hoosier joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat with Coy O'Leary. We're back with more at the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want to smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dawkins.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
I think your defense is ready for.
They better be. You know, I mean, that's what you got to do. You know, you got to be ready. But it's I got a ton of respect for the SEC now. I mean, I coach in that league and know how good of talent that they have and how well they're going to be coached and how they're going to play and how physical they're going to be. So I mean, it's going to be a great test for our football team. We're still young on defense.
How has it been to keep your team focused with all the hoopla and
and that's we have 7 guys that have played in a bowl game. And so that's not very many when you think about the 120 that we brought with us. So you have to. We talk about it all the time. You have to emphasize it all the time. You got to be on top of your guys. I put a lot on our assistant coaches to capture their players. That's a big charge I give them, and that counts for this week big time in the way that they handle. You want them to enjoy the bowl experience without question, but we're here to play a football game, and ultimately the goal is to win the game. So but you're not going to do that if you get distracted. And young guys get distracted. So that's why maturity matters. That's why experience matters, and so we got to do a great job as coaches of teaching them and showing them how you prepare in this setting to play your best football on game day.
What would
Indiana football coach Tom Allen as the Hoosiers prepare to take on the Tennessee Volunteers in the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl in Jacksonville, Florida. That game coming up on Thursday, January 2nd, 7 p.m. ESPN. Only game in town, Todd. What a great opportunity for Indiana football. Tom Allen, just the whole group to
Where were they doing that interview? Chuck E. Cheese? Like, what was the background noise they had going on? Disneyland? Sounded crazy.
Chuck E. Cheese.
Where was
That's
it, Jake?
Great.
Oh, okay. Boy, sounded like there was some.
Did you take umbrage to their music selection, Jake?
Carnival noise.
Perfect. Football is so different in basketball, Todd. When you guys, you're preparing for the NCAA tournament, you've got multiple games, you've got multiple weekends. For football, it's one big enchilada. It all comes down. You've got a month of preparation for one team, one game. You got so much going on and so much emphasize, and it's all towards one thing, which I'm sure that there's, I'm not saying one's good or better than the other. Just talking about the differences and the preparation and all that stuff. What a different kind of atmosphere it is going in for a bowl game than say basketball postseason.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's there's just all the emphasis is on, they took some time off, which is great. You get guys healthy, you give guys the opportunity to get their bodies closer to 100%. And then you look at the preparation side of it. I mean, a lot of it, we heard the coaching staff talking, the week before Christmas about, we heard the players commenting on right now. They were just working on, getting their timing right, getting their blocking schemes right, the stuff that Indiana needs to get better at and improve on, and those things. And then, you don't want to overly start preparing for Tennessee, too much in advance. I know the coaching staff is, but from a player's perspective, they probably didn't start doing that until, right before Christmas. And then definitely this week, a bunch this week, that's all they'll talk about and all they'll be doing. But up till, probably a few days ago, they've just been working on themselves and been working on, the timing of their routes and the timing of their blocks and the backs hitting the holes in the right time and all that stuff. So it's a totally different animal. I mean, it's different. I mean, the thing that stood out to me about what Coach Allen was saying about traveling with 120 athletes down there is, man, think about, they've been there since the 28th, and think about that. Like I traveled with my AAU basketball team, and we have 10 kids that travel with us, and the amount of
circus that in and of itself has got to be a circus.
The amount of food and the timing that 10 kids want to eat and do over, a 3-day stretch at an AAU tournament. I'm just being baffled at, there's got to be 3 people whose full-time job is to figure out who needs to eat when, because you're talking about guys that, not only need to eat because they're hungry. I mean, they need to eat because they're needing to build their body up, and they need protein. They need all these different things. I mean, the logistics of thinking about that is mind-boggling.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize or think about all that kind of stuff that you just brought up. I mean, there's multiple jobs in and of itself.
Oh
just
my gosh,
getting people's jobs.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Can you imagine managing? Can you imagine? You talk about having those 10 kids. Can you imagine having to manage and worry about 120?
No, I can't. I mean, we as the kids got older, when we traveled when we were 8th graders, it was fun. I mean, we take them to amusement park or whatever, and we hung out and we go eat a good meal at Cheesecake Factory and go back to the room. Everything's fine. But then as they start to get older, then we're having to, once they're juniors in high school, now we're worried about whether they're sneaking out and who's in trouble. We're trying to keep them out of jail. Imagine a bunch of 20-year-old kids that are down in warm weather climate, and you're taking them to the Colts game at Jacksonville, and you're taking them to Top Golf, and you're doing all these different things. I mean, you got a bunch of testosterone-rich 20-year-old boys running around. I mean, there's the amount of supervisors that you would need in that scenario is astronomical.
And I hope I don't throw a jinx on any of the teams, but man, and not just Indiana, but I'm talking about Indiana's teams, but you got to take your hat off to the character of the kids on all of these teams, men's, women's, doesn't matter. I'm talking about everything. They don't get in trouble. Back in the day, remember when, and not again,
when
not
we
just
had kids running each other over with cars.
Yeah, well, there's that, and I'm saying not just in Indiana. It was widespread. Remember back in the '80s with Miami's football team, but yeah, even in Indiana, you've had instances where things weren't going well. But it's just been so nice to see all these teams, basketball, football, doesn't matter, and football especially. Man, you've got 120 kids like we just talked about of high running, engine revving, testosterone, and yet that's the big thing about Tom Allen does, like I talked about earlier, of getting everybody on the same page. But you got to take your hat off, because I remember being a kid. Man, it was easy to get in trouble.
Sure,
you didn't have to look too far. It just seemed to find you.
Yeah, and I mean, some of the stupid ideas that come into your head when you're a kid that don't seem that stupid. My gosh, I mean, it's a full-time job to keep everybody in line. But you're right. I mean, here's the level of character that we're talking about. We're talking about how Al Durham throws an elbow, and we're all mind boggled at the fact that he could do something like that. And I mean, it's not like he has some criminal charges or something filed against him. He throws an elbow into a basketball game, and we can't believe it. And that speaks to the high level of, character that the coaches recruit and the coaches themselves and everything else. I mean, that's why, even though I don't think back in the Kelvin Sampson era, I don't think the violations that he actually did with the phone calls and that stuff were that big a deal. I think that rule is actually kind of stupid.
Well, they changed the
and
rule
even
the
when
next
they
year.
changed the rule after that, and then it became not even illegal and all that stuff. But just the fact that we're just not used to them testing testing the line and having a gray area. If you can't do it, you don't do it. And that I'm just glad we're not in that kind of situation.
Yeah, it's way more fun to whether it's pretend argument or not, just to talk and argue about stuff on the floor, on the court, on whatever,
right?
All that kind of stuff instead of serious life altering things where kids have done things that may have changed their own lives or changed their other lives for the worse. So
yeah, just as you say that, I know you said you don't want to jinx it. I hope we don't. I hope we don't give it the announcer's jinx on that case.
Yeah. Oh well,
it's nice to not worry about it.
Yeah, it would sure suck. But man, I cannot believe the end of this is not only the end of the year. I mean, this is the end of the decade.
Yeah.
This is another.
You're looking way deep into that.
Well, I'm just you start thinking about it. You're starting to hold the third decade of the new millennium.
Yeah,
that's nuts to me. I mean, wow, it's like
I'm starting my fifth decade.
How you like it?
It's a lot of decades. Yeah, I mean, I'm mentally I'm just as immature as my second decade, and physically I feel like I'm in my 10th decade.
It's just amazing to me because it's like where'd the other four go?
Yeah, it's nutty.
You can't get them back, boys and girls. You can't get them back.
It's like we're lucky.
I'm grateful for so many things and so many people. None bigger, of course, than my daughter Kylie. She's the greatest light in my life. But I'm grateful for Todd for being a part of the show now. Cannot be happier. Looking forward to an incredible 2020. I'm thankful to Jake for keeping us on the track. Even Justin when he was with us back before. Thanks for Justin. And of course, no one more important than the listeners. I could not thank you guys and the people that text in and Tim and everybody that texts in every day. We appreciate you guys, Joker, Bill. You're such a big part of this show, and there would be no show without listeners.
Yeah, and we're in a short period of time, we've been pretty fortunate in developing a group of people that listen regular. I get people that I pass on the street now occasionally that are saying, "Hey, listen to you guys the other day. Great show." These things. I mean, that's fun. That's rewarding to have people say that.
How do you work with that psychotic Jim Coyle?
Yep, it's not easy being me. That's what I tell them. But obviously, I'm kidding. Obviously, I'm kidding. I've enjoyed it more than you have. I promise you, brother.
Man, there's so much more, and man, some big games tomorrow. Looking for. We're not taking the day off either. We're that's not us, man. We're hard at it. Take Christmas off. That was about the only day, but some big games tomorrow. We talked about them earlier. I can't wait to watch those. There's several games a day that just you never know what game's going to be good, actually, and because the game itself can be incredible. It just may not have a high profile name attached to it.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. The way things are now with all of these bowl games, it's so much different than what it used to be when we were kids, and it's hard to adjust to the change. But when you look at the way the bowls are set up right now, it's weird to have 5 games today and 4 games tomorrow and then 2 games. And then you got like Ohio and Nevada playing on the 3rd. I mean, it's just weird. Like, well, in my opinion, after the first, it's basketball season, full-time basketball season. It's not that way anymore.
Yeah. But the biggest thing that stinks about it is it's like a big glutton. It's like a whole week or 2 weeks worth of just eating anything you want to eat. And then all of a sudden they're like, okay, that's it. And they take all the food away. You're like, whoa, wait. I want some more of that. And it's like, whoa, now you got to wait all the way until next season. Cause it's it's like a mousetrap, man. When it comes to a close, it's over.
Yeah. But it's, I don't want to say the NBA cause I don't watch it that way. And I don't really watch Major League Baseball either, but it's like the seasons are so long. I'm ready for them to be over. I'm ready for it to be full-time basketball season. But then at the end of basketball season, at the end of March, I'll have watched so much basketball. I'll be ready for a break from that, and I'll be ready for golf. And then and they'll be ready for football to start next September. I mean, the fact they take it away just makes it that much more. I look forward to it that much more.
Absolutely. And then of course basketball turns perfectly timing wise into conference season. The games get better, tougher, more important. The battles start. You start seeing who's doing well. It's like, oh wow, here's a surprise. This surprise is up and surprise is down. We don't know where they're going to be. I mean, I keep looking at the Big Ten standings, and we've talked about how tough the Big Ten is going to be. But the one thing is I thought Ohio State was just going to be the runaway team, and, well, they go out and get beat again. They've lost 2 in a row, I think. So, man, the Big Ten looked like it could be even tougher because it's going to be a complete round robin and a meat grinder, just nonstop. And, man, there is no margin for error.
Yeah, there's not. I said it a couple of weeks ago, and it's not lucky. But I mean, I also say to win the NCAA championship and to win a Big Ten championship, I mean, there's got to be some luck involved. You've got to catch certain teams on the right night, and there's going to be a team that catches a couple of teams on the road on a bad shooting night, and that team is going to have a distinct advantage. Now, if that team is Nebraska and they catch Maryland and Ohio State on bad shooting nights, they're probably still not going to win. But if it's Michigan State or Michigan or Indiana or somebody like that, or Purdue, if it's somebody like that catches those teams on a bad night and goes in there and wins.
Nebraska did that. I mean, Nebraska's already shown that.
Right, but they're not. I mean, they came into Indiana and caught Indiana on a pretty bad night, and they still didn't win. Purdue goes in and does that. Michigan goes in and does that. They're going to win. Ohio State goes in and catches Maryland on a bad night. They're going to win. And it's the team that has a couple of those nights where they go play well. It's not just catching the team on a bad night. Ohio State goes on the road and shoots 65% from the field or makes 13 threes or something. I mean, those teams are going to separate themselves. And like we said, yesterday and last week, it's going to be, there's not going to be a team that has 2 losses that wins the Big Ten. It's going to be a 4 to 5 loss champion. And so that one game that you steal here and there could just be the difference. And I think there's going to be a huge grouping of teams that have 7, 8, 9 losses and in the Big Ten. And that's, you want to separate yourself out from those. That's why every game's so important. You've got to make sure you beat Rutgers. You got to make sure you beat Nebraska, Northwesterns. You got to make sure you beat those. So if you're lumped into that group of teams with 8 losses, you have the seeding advantage over the top of all of them.
Absolutely. You are the man with the plan. Well, man, I can't believe a year has come and gone, but it certainly has. And that's pretty much going to be our last show of the year. It's funny to say that.
Pretty much it is.
But the good thing is we started all over again tomorrow, so it doesn't take a hiatus. But, man, we appreciate everybody joining us this week. Of course, on the program today, Chronic Hoosier joined us. We always appreciate him. Looking forward to doing that again tomorrow. Hopefully talking to Matt Weaver, as always, Wednesday, as we move towards getting closer and closer to the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl taking place in Jacksonville, Florida on Thursday. I'll be there. Unfortunately, I have a 5 a.m. wake-up call heading out for that, man. So I am not looking forward to that at all. But be heading down to Jacksonville for that. But that's 2 days away. I mean, the women's team takes on, what did I say, Rutgers tomorrow night. Man, that's a tough game for them. Rutgers has been a women's powerhouse for a long time, just a solid program. Not sure where they are this year, but I haven't seen them ranked or anything. But anytime you have a program that's run by someone like Vivian Stringer and that type, they're going to be good, and you just got to be on top of it. But so much to look forward to. Can't wait to come back and do it again tomorrow, man.
Yep, I will. I look forward to 2020.
I'll talk to you next year.
You'll actually, you'll talk to me prior to that.
Yeah, I know, but I just at least wanted to say it.
Yeah,
it sounded fun.
Sounds good. It sounds good.
All right, Jake. I appreciate Jake keeping us on the wheel. Thanks a lot to Todd and everybody else. Like I said, thanks to you, most importantly, the listeners. We appreciate you guys. Until tomorrow, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, I'm Jim Coyle, and I will see you on the radio.